Time yet, but the challenge ahead is immense. Perfect timing.
Mark Mitchell.
Mr Speaker, it's with great pleasure that I take a call in this general debate. Mr Speaker, when we watch and read the news day after day informing us of the massive challenges and problems being faced by much bigger developed economies, it brings into sharp contrast the incredible job our national-led government are doing in protecting and building our own economy. New Zealand is only 1/4% of the world economy. We're not insulated from global forces just because we're geographically remote. We're affected by what is happening to the rest of the world. But the great news is that we're beginning to emerge as standing out from a large part of the pack because this government is doing the right things. Growth in New Zealand over the next years, as my colleague Nicky Wagner alluded to, and by the way, I must say, Mr Speaker, that Christchurch is very lucky to have a representative, Nicky Wagner, who is as passionate about the rebuild there as any New Zealander could be. New Zealand over the next years is forecast to be higher than Europe, Britain, Japan, the United States and Canada. We're expected to achieve around the same growth rates as Australia at about 3%. That's because we're getting the fundamentals right. You might say, so what? But this is actually very important to most New Zealanders. That's because we are getting the fundamentals right. We have sound economic and financial institutions. We have products and services that are in demand and will continue to be over the coming decades. And we are growing our exports to the most vibrant and thriving regions of the world, like East and Southeast Asia. The rebuilding of Christchurch will effectively be a huge stimulus program funded largely by significant insurance payouts coming largely from overseas. So as a country, we face a relatively favourable set of circumstances and opportunities over the coming years. We're ready to make the most of those opportunities while continuing to carefully manage the exposure to global risks. Mr Speaker, I'd like to talk about our business sector and the key growth initiatives of this government. Back in my own electorate of Rodney, I've been running a series of business forums, of which I held my third one last week in Silverdale. These are some of the issues that have been highlighted as being important to our local business people. A reduction in red tape and compliance costs. So this is what we're doing. We're removing 176 unnecessary regulations from the law books and repealing 31 obsolete or redundant acts. We're amending 13 acts to reduce compliance costs and the regulatory burden on business. So what would Labor and Mr Cosgrove do? They'd apply a capital gains tax to all our businesses.
That's right.
They'd return to 1970s industrial relations policies and wind back National's ACC changes, meaning higher ACC levies. What else is important to the local business people in Rodney? Investment in infrastructure was highlighted as being important. Investment in infrastructure is highlighted as being important. So what is this government doing to invest in our infrastructure? We're investing $12 billion over the next 10 years in new state highways and $1.8 billion in new local roads. This is important. This is significant, actually, to communities. And I would welcome and invite anyone as a guest to come and visit the people of Rodney and North Rodney and Northland and to speak to them about the Puhoi to Wellsford motorway, because this has been tagged as a holiday highway by the opposition, and it's not actually a holiday highway, it's an economic highway. And what I'd invite Labor to do, as I understand, is that it's up to them. If they were in government, this road would be cancelled. Well, come north and find out how popular that policy is. We're investing $12 billion over the next 10 years in new state highways and $1.8 billion in new local roads. We have committed $750 million to the $4.6 billion plan to improve the rail freight network and to help rail to become commercially viable. We're investing $1.35 billion in public-private partnerships to roll out ultra-fast broadband with 90% of businesses to be covered in 4 years. And this is a significant policy. If you talk to our small businesses and our entrepreneurs in remote areas that rely on an ultra-fast broadband service, or an ultra-fast broadband service would allow them to expand and grow in the global market, this is important.
Honourable Clayton Cosgrove.
Before I get to the guts of my speech, I just want to address the last point that member raised. He talked about what the